I'm standing in Terminal C at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, watching my fiancée through the window of a coffee shop, and she has no idea her life is about to detonate in approximately 4 minutes. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Rachel's at gate 17 with her fake world traveler suitcase and the $300 investment sundress I paid for, about to fly to Italy for her bachelorette with her ex, Marco, because that's apparently normal. Dennis, my process server, walks up to her with a manila envelope that weighs like a grenade. I'm in a coffee shop, phone in hand, volume up, waiting. This should be good. 2 months ago, she told me she needed to make sure about marrying me by getting closure with Marco. I said okay because I've spent my whole life being the reasonable, boring guy. Cybersecurity job, 5 Target shirts, dented Honda Civic. Boring, yes. Stupid, no. Dennis reaches her, says, "Rachel Anderson?" and hands her the envelope. She opens it right there. I watch confusion turn to recognition, then full-blown panic. My phone rings. It's her. "Ethan, what the hell is this?" "That's a lawsuit," I say. "Breach of promise to marry, return of the $45,000 ring, reimbursement of $78,000 in wedding deposits, emotional distress, civil fraud." I mention the photos, her and Marco at the Fairmont at Tavola, going into his apartment, timestamps, hotel receipts, card statements, everything documented. "You had me followed," she whispers. "You had an affair. I documented it." I tell her the wedding's canceled, vendors notified, her dress abandoned at the boutique. Our lease ends in 30 days. I've already signed for a new place. Her stuff will go to a storage unit. Info's in the envelope, 1 month prepaid. After that, she's on her own. "You can't do this." "My lawyer's info is in there. If you want to fight it, have your lawyer call her. Don't call me again, Rachel. We're done." I hang up. Through the window, I watch her unravel. She keeps calling. I keep silencing. She turns on Marco, shoving him, sobbing, mascara streaking down her face while passengers stare, and a gate agent hovers. Phones are out. In a few hours, she'll be airport meltdown bride on TikTok. Frank comes over, still smirking. "That was beautiful, like a controlled demolition." "Think she'll miss the flight?" "Oh, she's done. Look at her." I finish my coffee, grab my backpack, and walk out as she screams my name behind me. My fiancée said her bachelorette party was a 2-week romantic trip with her ex and told me not to be insecure. So I wished her a safe flight, canceled the wedding, hired a PI, and spent 8 weeks documenting every lie. Her life is already falling apart before the plane even leaves the gate. And this is just the opening. 2 months earlier, my life was predictable in the way that cheap IKEA furniture is predictable. Functional, unremarkable, likely to collapse under any real pressure, but stable enough as long as you didn't test it too hard. I woke up every morning at 6:30 in the apartment I'd been renting for 7 years in Capitol Hill. Same apartment, same bedroom, same view of the parking lot, and the dumpsters that the building management never quite managed to keep clean. I made coffee in the same Mr. Coffee machine I'd bought in college, back when I thought owning a coffee maker made me an adult. Put on one of my 5 rotating button-down shirts, 2 blue, 2 white, 1 light gray, all purchased from the same Target, because I'd found a fit that worked and saw no reason to deviate. Brushed my teeth. Checked my phone for any overnight security alerts from work. Drove my 2015 Honda Civic to the office building in South Lake Union, where I managed network security for SecureNet, a mid-size fintech company that processed payment transactions for smaller businesses. Thrilling stuff. My desk was in a corner of the IT department, tucked between Luis Martinez, my coworker, and the closest thing I had to a best friend, and a wall of server equipment that hummed constantly like electronic bees. The work itself was fine. I was good at it. I understood systems, protocols, threat modeling, I could spot a phishing attempt from a mile away. I could build firewalls that would make a hacker weep with frustration. But it wasn't glamorous. Nobody writes movies about the guy who prevents your credit card from being stolen. Nobody throws parades for the boring security engineer who makes sure the payment processing runs smoothly. Luis used to joke that I was the human equivalent of beige paint. "You're the guy who disappears at parties," he said once, rolling his chair over to my desk during a particularly slow Thursday afternoon. Luis was everything I wasn't. Loud, funny, always wearing brightly colored shirts, always telling stories about his enormous extended family and their drama. Not because you're weird or creepy, just because you're so aggressively normal that people forget you exist. You're like camouflage, but for social situations. He wasn't wrong. Rachel was supposed to be the color in my life. That's how I thought of her when we first met 3 years ago at a digital marketing conference that my company had sent me to for reasons I never quite understood. She was the keynote speaker's assistant, the one who worked the room afterward, collecting business cards and compliments with equal ease, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, touching people's arms when she talked to them, making everyone feel like they were the most interesting person in the room, even when she was obviously scanning the crowd for someone more important. I should have seen that as a warning sign. The way she could turn charm on and off like a light switch. The way she treated attention like currency. Instead, I saw it as proof that someone like her, beautiful, charismatic, connected, could somehow choose someone like me. We started dating. She worked in marketing for a lifestyle brand called Lux & Co. that sold overpriced candles and throw pillows to people who thought spending $80 on a candle made them sophisticated. Her job was managing their social media presence and influencer partnerships, which apparently was a real job that paid real money. She was good at it. She understood how to make things look aspirational, how to sell a lifestyle. She moved into my apartment after 8 months. She complained about the parking lot view and the cheap furniture, but she moved in anyway because her own place was smaller and I didn't charge her rent. I proposed after 2 years with the ring she'd shown me on Instagram approximately 47 times. A princess-cut diamond, 2 carats, white gold band, from a jeweler in Bellevue that cost me 3 months' salary and a significant chunk of my savings. She cried when I proposed, posted photos immediately, changed her relationship status, started planning the wedding the next day. Everything was perfect in the way things are perfect when you're not paying attention to the cracks forming beneath the surface. The cracks started showing about 6 months ago, right after the engagement. Small things at first. She'd sigh heavily when I suggested Thai food instead of that new overpriced fusion place downtown that had a 3-week wait list. She'd scroll through her phone during movies, liking posts and commenting on other people's lives instead of watching the movie we'd supposedly chosen together. She'd make jokes about my clothes in front of her friends. Ethan has 5 shirts and he thinks that's a wardrobe. Laughing like it was affectionate teasing, but her eyes said something else. They said she was embarrassed. "Ethan's the safe choice," she told her friend Jenna Mills once at Sunday brunch. I was coming back from the bathroom and heard it through the partition that separated our booth from the next. "He's stable, reliable. He'll never cheat or disappear or forget my birthday, but sometimes I wonder if stable is just code word for boring, you know?" Jenna laughed, a forced sound. "Girl, boring is underrated. My ex was exciting. He was also 3 months behind on child support and had 2 other girlfriends I didn't know about. I'll take boring." Rachel laughed too, but it sounded hollow. Empty. I guess. I just thought I'd feel more, I don't know, more something. Sometimes I look at him and think, is this really it? Is this what the rest of my life looks like? I sat back down at the table and pretended I hadn't heard anything. Ordered another coffee, smiled when the server asked if everything was okay, ate my overpriced avocado toast that cost $18. That's what I did back then. I smiled and pretended. I smoothed things over. I was understanding. I was pathetic. The Italy thing came up on a Wednesday night in early March, 8 weeks before that airport scene that started this whole story. We were having dinner at home. I'd made spaghetti because I made decent spaghetti, and it was cheap, and Rachel was supposed to bring salad on her way home from work but forgot, which meant we were eating carbs and jarred marinara sauce like college students in a dorm room. "So I've been thinking about my bachelorette party," she said, twirling pasta on her fork without actually eating it. She did that a lot, moved food around her plate, performing the act of eating without consuming calories. "Yeah? You and Jenna finally figure out if you're doing Nashville or Miami." Those had been the two options she'd been debating for weeks. Nashville for honky-tonks and day drinking, Miami for beaches and clubs. Both sounded equally terrible to me, but I'd nodded supportively every time she brought it up because that's what I did. She put the fork down. "Actually, I want to do something different, more meaningful." I should have known right then. When someone says meaningful, they're about to say something that benefits them exclusively while pretending it's profound. "I want to go to Italy," she said, watching my face carefully. "For 2 weeks." "That sounds amazing. Who's going with you?" "Please say Jenna. Please say your sister. Please say literally anyone else." "Marco." I blinked, set down my own fork. "Marco, your ex-boyfriend Marco." "Yes. The Marco you dated for 3 years in college. The Marco whose Instagram you still like every single post on. That Marco. He's just a friend, Ethan. He offered to show me around Italy. He's staying at his family's villa on the Amalfi Coast for the summer, working on his travel content business, and he said I could stay there for free. It's this beautiful place, right on the cliffs overlooking the water. He says you can see the sunset from the terrace, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world. This is a chance to see Italy properly, not just tourist stuff, like a local. I put my fork down too, carefully, like it was made of something fragile. "You want to spend your bachelorette party with your ex-boyfriend in Italy, alone, for 2 weeks. Don't make it sound weird." "Rachel, it is objectively weird. It's only weird if you make it weird." She stood up, taking her still full plate to the sink, even though she'd eaten maybe 3 bites. "This is exactly what I was worried about. You're being possessive. I'm being rational. You're being insecure." She turned to face me, leaning against the counter with her arms crossed in that stance she used when she'd already decided she was right and I was wrong. "Marco and I are friends. We dated in college, which was 10 years ago. We've both moved on. He's practically family at this point. I've known him longer than I've known you." "Then why didn't you mention that he was the one hosting until just now?" "Because I knew you'd react exactly like this. I knew you'd make it into something it's not." "What is it, Rachel? Explain it to me. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you want to spend 2 weeks in a romantic villa on the Mediterranean with a man you used to sleep with." Her face hardened. "I need this trip, Ethan. I need to clear my head before the wedding." "Clear your head about what?" She hesitated. That hesitation lasted maybe 2 seconds, but it felt like falling downstairs in slow motion, like watching a car accident happen and being unable to stop it. "I need to make sure I'm not making a mistake," she said quietly. The apartment went very still. I could hear the refrigerator humming, could hear traffic outside, could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. "A mistake," I repeated. "Marrying me would be a mistake." "I didn't say that." "Yes, you did. You literally just said that." "I said I need to make sure. That's different." "How is it different?" She sighed, like I was exhausting her, like I was the unreasonable one. "Marrying someone is a huge decision, Ethan. It's forever. I want to be absolutely certain before I commit my entire life to someone, and Marco knows me in this way that you don't. He knew me before I got practical, before I got boring, before I turned into someone who spends Wednesday nights eating jarred pasta sauce. So you're going to Italy to see if your ex-boyfriend can remind you how to be exciting." "I'm going to Italy to get closure." to say goodbye to that chapter of my life, to prove to myself that I'm ready to move forward with you. Closure is a coffee date, Rachel. Closure is a phone call. This is a 2-week romantic vacation. Her eyes went hard. If you can't trust me to take one trip, if you're that insecure, then maybe we shouldn't get married at all. There it was. The ultimatum disguised as a boundary, the threat wrapped in concern. I could have fought harder. I could have said absolutely not. This is insane. Choose right now, me or him. I could have given her the ultimatum she was giving me, but I've never been good at confrontation. I've spent my whole life avoiding conflict, smoothing things over, being the reasonable one, being the doormat. So instead I said, "Fine, go to Italy." She brightened immediately, like someone had flipped a switch. Really? Really? If you need 2 weeks alone with your ex-boyfriend to figure out if you want to marry me, then go. She moved around the counter and kissed my cheek. Her lips were cold. You're amazing, Ethan. This is why I love you. You understand me. She went to the bedroom to start planning, pulling out her laptop to look at flights and making calls to Jenna to tell her about the change in plans. I stayed at the table, staring at my plate of pasta that I suddenly had no appetite for. If she needs a romantic Mediterranean test drive with her ex to decide if she loves me, I thought, then I already know the answer. I just needed proof, and I knew exactly how to get it. I found Frank Doyle through Google at 2 a.m. while Rachel slept peacefully in our bed, probably dreaming about Italian sunsets and her ex-boyfriend's arms. 3 searches. First, Private Investigator Seattle. Got about 10,000 results, most of them websites that looked like they were built in 1997. Second, Infidelity Investigator Seattle. Narrowed it down to a few hundred. Third, out of desperation and exhaustion. PI who won't judge me for being pathetic. That last one didn't yield relevant results, but the first 2 led me to Frank Doyle Investigations, a one-man operation with an office in Belltown and a website that was refreshingly honest. No stock photos of people in suits looking serious. No promises to uncover the truth. Just a photo of Frank, 50-something, gray hair, tired eyes, and a paragraph that said, "I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen everything. Call me." I called him. We met at a diner called the Hurricane Cafe at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. It was one of those classic Seattle places that served breakfast 24 hours and smelled permanently of coffee and hash browns. Frank was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a newspaper spread in front of him and a coffee cup that looked like it had been refilled multiple times. He stood when I approached, shook my hand. His grip was firm, professional. "You sounded pretty calm on the phone," he said as we sat down. A server came by, filled my cup without asking, disappeared again. Most guys who call me are crying, or angry, or both. I'm not most guys. That's what your fiancé said too, I bet. Fair point. I told him everything. About Rachel, about Marco, about the Italy trip, about the engagement ring that cost $45,000, about the wedding we'd spent $78,000 planning, about the apartment we shared, about the comments I'd overheard, about the feeling in my gut that something was wrong, even though I couldn't prove it yet. He listened without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad that looked like it had survived a flood at some point in its life. When I finished, he tapped his pen against the table 3 times, a rhythm like a judge's gavel. "Okay, let's establish what you want here," he said. "Do you want confirmation that she's cheating so you can confront her and try to save the relationship? Or do you want evidence so you can end the relationship and protect yourself financially?" "The second one." "You sure? Because once you go down this road, there's no going back. You see things you can't unsee." "I'm sure." "Good. Honest answer." He flipped to a new page, started writing. "Here's what I can do legally, because the most important word in that sentence is legally. I can follow her. I can take photos in public places. I can document hotel visits. I can pull records that are already publicly accessible. I can review credit card statements, if you're on shared accounts. I can talk to people who might have information. I cannot hack her phone. I cannot break into her email. I cannot trespass on private property. I cannot install tracking devices without consent. Understand? Yes. This costs money. Surveillance is $300 a day plus expenses. Gas, meals, hotel if I need to stake out somewhere overnight. If she's smart and careful, it might take weeks to get anything usable. Could run you $5,000–6,000 before we have anything concrete. I thought about my savings account, about the money I'd been setting aside for the wedding, about the life I'd been planning that was apparently built on lies. That's fine. You got a timeline? She leaves for Italy in 8 weeks. I need everything before then. Frank smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who'd done this job long enough to know exactly how this story ended. Let's test that theory about her being careful, he said. He started that afternoon. Within 3 days, he had photos. Frank called me on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. while I was at work, doing a routine security audit that was about as interesting as watching paint dry. We need to meet, he said. I've got something. We met in his car outside my office building an hour later. It was raining, which it always is in Seattle, and the windows were fogged from the heat he had running. He handed me a folder as soon as I got in the passenger seat. Don't open it yet, he said. Let me walk you through it first. Okay. I've been following Rachel for 3 days, mostly routine stuff. She goes to work, comes home, meets friends for drinks. Normal. But yesterday, Thursday afternoon, she told you she had a vendor meeting for the wedding, right? Right. Cake tasting. She didn't go to any cake tasting. He pulled out his phone, swiped through photos. She went here. It was the Fairmont Olympic Hotel downtown. Expensive, historic, the kind of place people went for special occasions. Could have been meeting someone there, I said, grasping at straws I knew were already broken. She was. Marco DeLuca checked into room 412 at 2 p.m. She arrived at 2:30. They left together at 6. He showed me the photos. Rachel walking into the lobby, Marco in the elevator, Rachel getting off the elevator on the 4th floor, both of them leaving together, his arm around her waist, her laughing at something he'd said. Could be innocent, I said, even though I didn't believe it. Could be, Frank agreed. So I kept watching. Last night, Friday, she told you she was having a girls' night with Jenna. Yes. She wasn't. More photos. She met Marco at a wine bar on Capitol Hill called Tavola. Sat there for 2 hours, holding hands across the table. He kissed her when they left. Then they walked to his apartment building on Pine Street. She didn't leave until 11:47 p.m. He showed me those photos too. Rachel and Marco at the wine bar, their fingers intertwined between the candles and wine glasses. Rachel and Marco on the sidewalk, his hand on her lower back. Rachel and Marco entering his building. I stared at the photos. My fiancée, my future wife, the woman I'd given a $45,000 ring to, kissing another man, touching another man, going home with another man. There's more, Frank said quietly. More? He pulled out a small audio recorder, the old-fashioned kind, and pressed play. Rachel's voice came through the speaker, tinny but clear. She was laughing. I don't know, I feel guilty sometimes. But Ethan's so stable, you know. He'll never leave me even if he finds out. And honestly, I need that stability. Marco, you're exciting and fun and the sex is amazing, but you're broke. You can barely afford your apartment. Ethan pays for everything. Ethan's my safety net. Marco's voice, that smooth Italian-American accent. So marry Ethan, keep me on the side. Best of both worlds. Exactly. She laughed again. He'll never know. He's too boring to even suspect anything. Frank turned off the recorder. The car was silent except for the rain hitting the roof and the distant sound of traffic. Where did you get that? I asked. Wine bar. I was sitting 2 tables away. They weren't exactly quiet. It's legal. Single-party consent state for recording in public places where there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. It'll hold up if you need it for anything. I closed the folder without looking at the rest of the photos. How much more do you need? Depends on what you want to do. If you want to end the engagement, you've got plenty. If you want to pursue financial recovery, getting the ring back, recouping wedding costs, you'll want more. Create a pattern. Show it wasn't a one-time mistake, but an ongoing affair. Keep going, I said. Get me everything you can before that Italy trip. You canceling the wedding? Oh, I'm canceling everything. Frank nodded slowly. You need a lawyer, too. This kind of thing gets messy. You want to protect yourself. You know anyone? Yeah, Caroline Wu. She's good. Scary good. I'll send you her contact info. I sat in that car for another 10 minutes after Frank left, staring at the folder in my lap, listening to the rain. Then I opened my phone and started making lists. Things to do, people to call, money to move, plans to make. If Rachel wanted to play games, I'd show her what happened when you challenged someone who understood systems and planning. I'd show her what happened when the boring guy finally got mad. Caroline Wu's office was in a glass tower downtown, the kind of building where everything was expensive and designed to intimidate. The lobby had art that probably cost more than my car. The elevator was so smooth I couldn't tell we were moving. The receptionist looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Caroline herself was 40, Chinese-American, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost what I made in a month. She offered me coffee from a machine that looked like it required an engineering degree to operate. I accepted because I wasn't going to say no to what was probably very expensive coffee, but I didn't drink it. My stomach was already in knots. Frank sent me his initial report, she said, sitting across from me in her corner office that had a view of Elliott Bay. She swiped through something on her iPad. I've reviewed everything. Photos, audio recordings, timeline, financial documentation. You have options. Walk me through them. She pulled up a document and turned the iPad so I could see it. First, Washington is a no-fault divorce state, but you're not married yet, which actually helps you. We're not dealing with divorce law. We're dealing with contract law and civil torts. We can pursue multiple claims. Such as breach of promise to marry. It's an older legal concept, but still valid in Washington under certain circumstances. You entered into an agreement to marry. You spent money in reliance on that promise. She violated the promise through her actions. We can argue for damages. What kind of damages? Return of the engagement ring, first and foremost. In Washington, an engagement ring is considered a conditional gift. The condition is marriage. If the marriage doesn't happen due to the recipient's fault, the ring must be returned. You paid $45,000 for that ring, correct? $45,312, I said, including tax. Good. Keep that receipt. Second, wedding expenses. You've spent $78,000 on vendors so far. Venue, catering, photographer, flowers, DJ, invitations. We can likely recover 60 to 70% of that, depending on vendor contracts and cancellation policies. What else? Fraudulent misrepresentation. She represented to you that she was entering into the engagement in good faith, intending to marry you. In reality, she was conducting an affair the entire time. You relied on her misrepresentation to your detriment. That's textbook fraud. Can we prove that? Frank's evidence helps. The timeline shows the affair started approximately 6 weeks after the engagement. The audio recording shows she explicitly planned to marry you for financial stability while maintaining a relationship with Marco. We can argue she fraudulently induced you into continuing the engagement and making financial commitments. I felt something loosen in my chest, something that had been tight for weeks. What about emotional distress? Caroline smiled slightly. Intentional infliction of emotional distress is harder to prove in Washington. We need to show extreme and outrageous conduct beyond just infidelity. But combined with the fraud, the public humiliation, the financial harm, we can make an argument. It strengthens the overall case, even if that specific claim doesn't succeed. What can she do? Can she countersue? For what? You haven't done anything wrong. You hired a private investigator, which is legal. You documented her behavior in public places, which is legal. You're ending an engagement because of her infidelity, which is your right. She can try to paint you as controlling or abusive, but Frank's evidence undermines that narrative. She was free to do whatever she wanted. She just didn't expect consequences. When do we file? Caroline leaned back in her chair, studying me. Whenever you're ready. But if you want my advice, we serve her right before something important to her. Maximum emotional impact. Make her understand there are consequences. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Serve her at the airport, right before her Italy flight. Caroline's eyebrow went up. That's aggressive. That's the point. She'll have a meltdown. Good. Could go viral. Airport drama always does. Even better. She smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. I like you, Mr. Cole. This is going to be fun. How much is this going to cost me? My retainer is $5,000. After that, $350 an hour. Total cost depends on how hard she fights. If she's smart, she'll settle quickly. If she's stubborn, it could drag on and get expensive. I thought about my savings, about the wedding money, about the life I'd been planning. Do it, I said. We spent the next hour going over details, contract law, civil procedure, filing deadlines. Caroline's paralegal came in and took notes. We scheduled the filing for 8 weeks out, right before Rachel's Italy trip. What do I do until then? I asked. Nothing. Act normal. Don't let her know anything's wrong. Don't confront her. Don't change your behavior. Let Frank keep gathering evidence. The stronger our case, the faster this ends. That's going to be hard. I know, but you can do hard things, Mr. Cole. You didn't get this far by giving up when things got difficult. I left her office with a copy of the preliminary filing and a plan. Act normal for 8 weeks. Smile. Pretend. Prepare. I could do that. I'd been doing it my whole life. The next 8 weeks were the worst of my life, but I played my part perfectly. Rachel was thrilled that I'd come around on the Italy trip. She apologized for calling me insecure and possessive. She said she loved how understanding I was. She said she couldn't wait to come back and marry me and start our life together. Every word was poison wrapped in sugar. I smiled. I nodded. I helped her pack. At night, while she slept, I worked. I moved money from our joint checking account to a new account, in my name only. Not all of it, that would have been obvious, but enough to protect myself. I separated out what I'd contributed versus what she'd contributed. Documented everything. I backed up every message from the last 3 years, every text, every email, every social media post, downloaded them all, organized them by date, stored them in encrypted folders. I contacted every wedding vendor and put deposits on hold, citing logistical concerns with the date. Didn't cancel anything yet, that would have tipped her off, but laid the groundwork. I changed passwords on my personal accounts, email, banking, credit cards, social media, set up 2-factor authentication on everything. I made copies of important documents, our lease, her employee contract, insurance policies, tax returns. I prepared. Luis noticed something was different at work. You look weird, he said one afternoon, rolling his chair over to my desk while I was reviewing firewall logs and trying not to think about the fact that my fiancée was probably texting her ex-boyfriend. Weird how? I don't know, lighter? Less like you're one minor inconvenience away from a breakdown. You actually smiled at Jerry from accounting yesterday. You never smile at Jerry. Jerry's growing on me. Luis squinted at me. You're up to something. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I've known you for 6 years. You're terrible at hiding things. What's going on? I considered telling him. Luis was my friend, my only real friend at work. But Caroline had been clear. Don't tell anyone. The fewer people who knew, the better. Just busy with wedding stuff, I said. Uh-huh. How's Rachel? Great. Excited about Italy. Still can't believe she's doing that bachelorette trip with her ex. That's wild. She needs closure. Closure's a phone call, man, not a vacation. I know. He studied me for another moment, then grinned. You finally grew a spine, didn't you? You're doing something. You're planning something. Luis, don't tell me. Plausible deniability. But good for you, seriously. It's about time. He rolled back to his desk, leaving me alone with my guilt and my planning, and my growing sense that I was about to blow up my entire life, and maybe, possibly, it was the right thing to do. Frank checked in every few days with updates. More hotel visits, more dinners, more evidence. He caught Rachel and Marco having breakfast together at a cafe in Ballard on a Wednesday morning when she'd told me she had an early dentist appointment. He caught them shopping together at Nordstrom, Marco trying on clothes while Rachel gave opinions and laughed and touched his arm. He caught them at a movie theater in the middle of the day, sitting in the back row like teenagers. Every piece of evidence made the picture clearer. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a calculated, ongoing betrayal. Marco had even posted a photo on Instagram 3 weeks before the Italy trip. A sunset over water with the caption, "Can't wait to show someone special my favorite place." Rachel had commented with a heart emoji and, "So soon." 78 people had liked her comment. I screenshot it, added it to the folder. The wedding was supposed to be June 23rd. The Italy trip was May 15th through 29th. Everything was timed perfectly. 2 days before her flight, Rachel came home with shopping bags from expensive stores, Nordstrom, Anthropologie, a place called Reformation that apparently sold dresses for people who wanted to look like they cared about the environment while spending $300 on a single outfit. "Look what I got," she said, dumping the bags on our bed and pulling out clothes like she was doing a fashion show. A sundress, a romper, a bikini, sandals, a wide-brimmed hat, sunglasses, lingerie, expensive lingerie. "This is going to be such an amazing trip," she said, holding up the lingerie against her body and checking herself in the mirror. "Thank you for being so understanding about it, Ethan. I know it was hard for you at first, but this really means everything to me." "Of course," I said. "You deserve it." She kissed me. I tasted nothing but my own anger. That night, she packed carefully, laying out outfits on the bed like she was styling a photo shoot. She talked about the villa, about the coast, about the food, about how Marco had said the family made their own wine and olive oil. She talked about him like he was just a tour guide, just a friend, just someone showing her around. She believed her own lies. That was the part that amazed me. She'd convinced herself this was okay, that I was too boring to notice, that I'd forgive her because I always forgave her. I watched her pack and thought about the lawsuit sitting in Caroline's office, printed and ready to be served. I thought about the airport, the gate, the process server, the look on her face when she opened that envelope. I barely slept. The next morning was calm. Rachel was vibrating with excitement, checking her phone constantly, probably coordinating with Marco about meeting at the airport. I made coffee, made small talk, loaded her suitcase into my car. "You ready?" I asked. "So ready. This is going to change everything." She had no idea how right she was. Rachel missed her flight. I know this because she called me 47 times that day. 47. My phone kept a log. I didn't answer any of them. She left voicemails, 18 of them. I saved every single one and forwarded them to Caroline within an hour of receiving them. The first few were angry. "Ethan, answer your phone right now. Right now, this is insane. You can't do this. Call me back." Then crying, "Please, Ethan, please pick up. We can fix this. It was a mistake. Marco doesn't mean anything. He was just... I was confused. I love you. Please, I'll do anything. Please don't do this." Then angry again. "You know what? You're ruining my life over nothing. You're cruel and manipulative, and I can't believe I almost married you. You're going to regret this. My lawyer says you'll never win. You're pathetic. And finally, after the crying and the anger cycled through about 3 more times, bargaining. I'll drop the Italy trip. I'll never talk to Marco again. I'll do couples therapy. Whatever you want. Just drop the lawsuit. Please, I'm begging you. I listened to each voicemail once, saved them, forwarded them to Caroline with a note. Documentation of harassment. Let me know if we need to add this to the filing. Caroline called me that evening. How are you holding up? Fine. You don't sound fine. I'm functional. That's not the same thing. Look, Ethan, what you did today was brave, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. She's going to escalate. People like Rachel don't accept consequences. They rewrite reality until they're the victim. I know. Do you? Because I need you to be prepared. She's going to smear you. She's going to tell everyone you're abusive, controlling, manipulative. She's going to paint herself as the victim of a cruel man who couldn't handle her independence. Let her try. We have evidence. Evidence matters in court. It matters less in the court of public opinion. People believe stories, not facts. Then we'll tell a better story. She paused. Okay, but don't engage with her directly. Don't respond to her calls or messages. Don't defend yourself on social media. Let me handle it. That's what you're paying me for. Understood. By day 2, Rachel had hired a lawyer, some guy named Eric Mitchell, who specialized in family law and had an office in Bellevue. He sent Caroline a letter on official letterhead claiming I was harassing Rachel and demanding that I immediately drop the lawsuit and return all illegally obtained evidence. Caroline responded within 2 hours with a letter that was basically the legal equivalent of "make me." Her letter pointed out that 1. Rachel had been contacted by a licensed attorney regarding a legitimate civil complaint, not harassed. 2. All evidence was obtained through legal means by a licensed private investigator. 3. Surveillance in public places requires no consent. 4. Audio recordings in Washington are legal under single-party consent laws in public places with no reasonable expectation of privacy. 5. Mr. Mitchell was welcome to review the complete evidence file if he wished to better advise his client about the strength of her position. I loved Caroline. By day 3, I'd changed the locks on the apartment. Our lease was in my name only. Rachel had never gotten around to adding herself, which turned out to be the luckiest administrative oversight of my life. Her stuff was in a storage unit in Georgetown. I'd rented it under her name, prepaid for 1 month, and had Frank deliver the key and rental agreement to her mother's house in Bellevue where Rachel was apparently staying. Frank said Rachel's mother answered the door, took one look at the envelope, and said, "What did she do now?" Good question, lady. By day 4, Rachel was posting on Instagram. The photo was of her at her mother's house, sitting on the floor in pajamas, makeup streaked down her face, looking devastated. Tissue box next to her. Red eyes, the full performance. The caption, "Sometimes the people you trust most turn out to be the cruelest. I'm learning who I can count on. Thank you to everyone who's reached out with love and support. Your messages mean everything during this difficult time. Healing, Shaktir strength, Shaktir survivor." The comments filled up fast. "You deserve so much better." "What happened?" "He didn't deserve you anyway." "Stay strong, girl. Men are trash." And then, "Because the internet is the internet." Wait, isn't this the girl who was going to Italy with her ex for her bachelorette party? That comment got deleted within minutes. Luis texted me, "Dude, Rachel's dragging you online." "You seeing this?" I texted back. "Lawyer's handling it." "You have a lawyer?" "I have a very good lawyer." "Damn, good for you." Caroline called again that evening. "Have you seen her Instagram?" "Yeah. We can pursue defamation if she makes specific false claims about you. Right now it's vague enough to avoid liability. She's not naming you or making specific accusations. But keep monitoring. She's going to slip." They always do. How do you know? Because people like Rachel can't help themselves. They need attention. They need validation. They need everyone to agree that they're the victim. Eventually, she'll say something concrete and false, and when she does, we'll have her. I trust you. Good. Keep documenting everything. And Ethan? Yeah? You did the right thing. I wished I felt like it. The first court date was scheduled for June 15th, 3 weeks after the airport serving. Preliminary motions. Caroline explained it was mostly procedural, but we'd request a preliminary order for return of the ring and partial reimbursement of deposits. The goal is to establish the strength of our case early, she said, as we sat in her office the day before the hearing, reviewing documents. If we can get even a preliminary ruling in our favor, it puts pressure on Rachel to settle rather than drag this out. What if she fights? Then we fight back. But litigation is expensive and time-consuming. Most people settle. The courthouse was downtown, one of those old buildings that was probably beautiful once, but now just felt bureaucratic and cold. Security lines, metal detectors, lawyers in suits everywhere, all looking vaguely miserable. Rachel showed up with Mitchell, her lawyer. She'd dressed carefully for court, conservative outfit, soft colors, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. The victim costume. She looked small and vulnerable, and nothing like the woman who'd laughed about using me as a safety net while sleeping with her ex. She glared at me across the courtroom. I kept my face blank. Judge Brennan was a woman in her 60s with gray hair and the expression of someone who'd been hearing people's bullshit for decades and was thoroughly done with it. She reviewed the filings with the enthusiasm of someone reading a grocery list. Mr. Cole is seeking return of an engagement ring valued at $45,000 and partial reimbursement of wedding expenses totaling approximately $60,000. Ms. Anderson disputes the claims. Mr. Mitchell, you're representing Ms. Anderson? Mitchell stood. He was young, maybe 30, with perfectly styled hair and a suit that was trying too hard. Yes, Your Honor. My client contends that the engagement ring was an unconditional gift, given without expectation of return. The relationship ended due to Mr. Cole's controlling and emotionally abusive behavior. Ms. Anderson was forced to terminate the engagement for her own safety and well-being. She should not be penalized for protecting herself from an abusive partner. Caroline stood. She looked calm, bored almost, like she was explaining basic math to a child. Your Honor, we have extensive documentation that Ms. Anderson was engaged in an ongoing extramarital affair during the entirety of the engagement period. The engagement ring is a conditional gift under Washington law, conditional on the marriage taking place. The condition was not met due to Ms. Anderson's infidelity and fraudulent misrepresentation. We're prepared to present photographic evidence, financial records, audio recordings, and witness testimony establishing a pattern of deliberate deception. Judge Brennan looked at Rachel. Ms. Anderson, were you in a relationship with another individual during your engagement to Mr. Cole? Mitchell started to answer. Your Honor, my client, I asked Ms. Anderson, not you, Mr. Mitchell. Rachel stood slowly. We were on a break. That's not what I asked. Were you in a relationship with someone else while engaged to Mr. Cole? Yes or no? I reconnected with an old friend. We weren't physical. Caroline slid a folder across the bench to the judge. Your Honor, hotel receipts showing Ms. Anderson and Marco DeLuca checked into the Fairmont Olympic Hotel together on April 18th. Photographic evidence of them entering and leaving the hotel together. Credit card records showing charges to Mr. DeLuca's account for the room. Additional photos showing physical affection, kissing, hand-holding, on multiple occasions. Judge Brennan opened the folder, reviewed the contents in silence. Her expression didn't change, but something in her posture stiffened. Ms. Anderson, do you want to revise your answer? Rachel's face went red. It wasn't serious. I don't care if it was serious, I care if it happened. Did it happen? Yes. While you were engaged to Mr. Cole? Yes. While wearing an engagement ring he purchased for $45,000? Yes. Judge Brennan closed the folder and looked at Mitchell. Your client committed fraud, Mr. Mitchell. She accepted an engagement ring while conducting an affair. She accepted wedding payments while planning to continue that affair. This is textbook fraudulent inducement. Your Honor, I'm ordering the immediate return of the engagement ring. Ms. Anderson has 14 days to return it to Mr. Cole in its original condition. I'm also ordering reimbursement of $34,000 in non-refundable wedding expenses. Ms. Anderson will have 60 days to make payment. Your Honor, my client doesn't have... Then she can get a payment plan. This is not a criminal matter, Mr. Mitchell, but I will not reward deception with impunity. Ms. Anderson made promises. She accepted money based on those promises. She broke those promises while conducting an affair. There are consequences. Rachel stood up, shaking. This isn't fair. Judge Brennan looked at her coldly. Life isn't fair, Ms. Anderson, but the law is. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down. Outside the courthouse, Rachel tried to approach me. Frank stepped between us immediately. He'd been in the courtroom taking notes. Restraining orders next if you don't back off, he said calmly. She looked at me over his shoulder. Her eyes were wet. Ethan, please, just talk to me for 5 minutes, please. I walked past her to my car. Caroline caught up with me in the parking lot, heels clicking on asphalt. That went well. She'll escalate now, I said. I know. Let her. Every move she makes digs her hole deeper. What's next? She has to return the ring and pay you $34,000. She won't want to do either of those things. She'll try to negotiate. We'll refuse. She'll get desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. You sound like you enjoy this. Caroline smiled. I enjoy justice. They're not always the same thing, but in this case they are. Go home, Ethan. Rest. Let me handle Rachel. I went home to my new apartment, a 1-bedroom in Fremont, smaller than the old place, but mine, and sat in the silence. I'd won the first round. So why did I feel hollow? Rachel escalated exactly like Caroline predicted. First, she tried to negotiate through Mitchell. Could she pay the $34,000 in installments? Could she trade something else instead of the ring? Could they work out a settlement that didn't include admissions of wrongdoing? Caroline's response was simple. No, no, no. Then Rachel tried a different tactic. She filed a complaint with my company's HR department, an anonymous email sent from a burner account, but obviously written by her. The writing style was identical to her social media posts. Lots of emotional language, lots of "I'm shaking as I write this," lots of implications without direct accusations. The email claimed that Ethan Cole, cybersecurity engineer, had stalked his ex-fiancée, controlled her finances, isolated her from friends, monitored her phone and computer, threatened her safety when she tried to leave, hired a private investigator to harass her, weaponized the legal system to abuse her further. HR called me in on a Wednesday afternoon. Angela Chen, head of HR, mid-40s, perpetually exhausted. Ethan, we received a complaint about you. I'm required to investigate any complaints involving employee conduct, even conduct outside of work, if it could impact the company. Do you understand? I understand. The complaint alleges abusive behavior toward a former romantic partner. That's serious. The complaint is false. Can you tell me what happened? My ex-fiancée was having an affair. I discovered it, ended the engagement, and filed a civil lawsuit to recover the engagement ring and wedding expenses. She's upset about the lawsuit and trying to hurt me professionally. Angela made notes. Did you hire a private investigator? Yes, to document the affair before I ended the engagement. That's legal. Did you control her finances? No. We had a joint checking account for shared expenses. That's it. She had her own accounts and her own income. Did you threaten her? Never. The complaint says you're using the legal system to abuse her. I'm using the legal system to recover money I spent based on her fraudulent promises. A judge agreed with me and ordered her to return the ring and pay reimbursement. That's not abuse. That's accountability. I pulled out a folder. Caroline had prepared it just for this occasion. Inside, the complete lawsuit filing, Frank's investigative report, court orders, photographic evidence, the audio recording, a timeline, and a letter from Caroline explaining the case. Angela read it slowly. I watched her expression shift from concerned to skeptical to irritated. You documented all of this. I document everything. It's what I do for a living. She's claiming you hired the investigator to stalk her. I hired a licensed investigator to confirm infidelity before making major legal and financial decisions. That's due diligence, not stalking. Everything was obtained legally in public places. Washington is a single-party consent state for recordings. Nothing was hacked or stolen. Angela closed the folder and looked at me. This complaint appears to be retaliatory and unsubstantiated. I'm going to file it as such. If she contacts us again, we'll consider it harassment of an employee and may pursue legal action ourselves. Thank you. She walked me to the door, then stopped me with a hand on my arm. For what it's worth, I'm sorry you're going through this. Nobody should have to bring a legal defense to an HR meeting. I appreciate that. One more thing. Off the record? Okay. You seem different. Lighter. Like something heavy got lifted off you. Maybe it did. She smiled. Good. You deserve better than whatever she was giving you. Luis ambushed me at my desk 10 minutes later. HR meeting? Rachel tried to get me fired. Jesus, what a piece of work. It didn't work. I had documentation. Of course you did. You're you. He paused. You okay? Yeah. Actually, yeah. You know what's wild? I've known you for 6 years, and this is the first time you've actually stood up for yourself. I'm learning. Better late than never. He grinned. So what happens now? Now it gets worse before it gets better. How much worse? She's planning a social media tell-all. How do you know? Her friend told me. Luis stopped. Wait, her friend is talking to you? Her friend is tired of lying for her. Damn, you're playing chess while she's playing checkers. I'm not playing anything. I'm just protecting myself. But that wasn't entirely true, because when Jenna Mills texted me that night asking to meet, I knew exactly what I was doing. I was building a case, and I was about to get help from the inside. Jenna Mills reached out to me 3 days after the HR incident. Unknown number. Text message. This is Jenna, Rachel's friend. Can we talk? It's important. I screenshot the message and sent it to Caroline immediately. She called me within 5 minutes. Don't meet her alone. Could be a setup. Rachel could be trying to record you saying something she can use against you. Jenna seemed genuinely upset at the courthouse. People are good actors. Meet her in public. Bring Frank if possible. Record the conversation yourself if Washington allows it, which it does. Single-party consent. Protect yourself. I called Frank. He was available. I texted Jenna back. Coffee shop in Fremont, tomorrow at 2 p.m., the one on 34th. She replied immediately, Thank you. See you then. The next day, I showed up 30 minutes early, scoped out the place. It was busy, good for witnesses, good for blending in. I picked a table in the corner with a view of the entrance. Frank arrived 20 minutes early and took a table on the opposite side, laptop open, looking like any other remote worker. Jenna arrived exactly on time. She looked tired, really tired. Dark circles under her eyes, no makeup, hair in a messy bun. She was wearing jeans and a sweatshirt, which was different from her usual carefully styled appearance. She ordered a coffee, paid, and walked over to my table. Thanks for meeting me, she said, sitting down heavily. Why are we meeting, Jenna? Because I'm done covering for her. She pulled out her phone and started scrolling through messages. Rachel's been using me as an alibi for months. Girls' night. That wasn't girls' night. shopping trip where she was actually with Marco, brunch that I wasn't even at. I didn't know at first. I thought we were actually getting together for these things and she was just canceling last minute. But then I started noticing a pattern. What pattern? She'd ask me to post photos of us together, old photos from months ago. She'd send them to me and ask me to post them on specific dates with captions like, "Love my girls" or "Needed this." I thought it was weird, but Rachel's always been into social media aesthetics, so I figured it was just her thing. But then I realized she was creating alibis, making it look like she was with me when she was actually with Marco. "Why are you telling me this now?" Jenna looked me directly in the eye. "Because she's planning something worse. She's working on a video, a tell-all about how you supposedly abused her. She wants me to back her up. She literally sent me a script." "A script?" "Yes." She opened a Google Doc on her phone and handed it to me. "Read it." I read it. It was detailed, specific, completely fabricated. The document, titled "My Truth, Final Draft," described a relationship where I had controlled what Rachel wore, monitored her phone constantly, prevented her from seeing friends, threatened her when she tried to assert independence, hired a private investigator to stalk and intimidate her, filed the lawsuit as retaliation for her trying to leave an abusive relationship. It included stage directions. Pause here for effect. Tear up when describing the threats. Show the phone with blocked contacts. It was a performance script. "This is insane," I said. "I know. That's why I'm here. She sent this to me 3 days ago and asked me to memorize my parts. She wants to film it this weekend. She wants it to go viral. She thinks if enough people believe her story, you'll drop the lawsuit and she won't have to pay you back." "Why would she think I'd drop it?" "Because she thinks you're weak. She's always thought you were weak. That's why she treated you the way she did. She thought you'd never fight back." I took a photo of the script with my own phone. "Can you forward this to me? The original doc?" "Already did. I sent it to the email on your lawyer's business card that Frank gave me." "Frank gave you Caroline's card?" "He approached me after the court hearing, asked if I knew what Rachel was planning. I told him everything." I looked across the cafe. Frank was watching us, still pretending to work. He nodded slightly. "Jenna, why are you helping me?" She was quiet for a long moment, staring at her coffee. "Because you didn't deserve this. Because I'm tired of watching her destroy people and never face consequences. And because—" She looked up. "Because I'm afraid of her. I'm afraid of what she'll do to me if I don't go along with her plans. She collects information on everyone. She takes screenshots of things people post, saves messages, keeps records. If you cross her, she uses it. She did it to her last boyfriend before you. She did it to a coworker who reported her for taking credit for someone else's work. She's vindictive, Ethan, and I'm terrified that if I don't help you stop her now, she's going to do this to someone else, or she's going to come after me. What do you need from me? Protection, legal protection. If I testify or give statements, I need to know she can't sue me or destroy my reputation. I'll talk to my lawyer. We'll figure something out." She nodded, relief flooding her face. "There's something else," she said. "Something you should know about the Italy trip." "What about it?" "It wasn't just about romance. Marco needed money. His travel content business is failing. He has debts. He was hoping Rachel would invest. He thought if they did the Italy trip together, made it look amazing on Instagram, it would revive both their brands. They were planning to sell sponsorships, get paid for content, maybe even pitch a reality show about blended families or second chances or some garbage like that. So Marco was using her for money, and she was using me for stability. Exactly. They were using each other, and they were both using you. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Thank you for telling me this. There's one more thing. Jenna pulled up another file. She's planning to go to Italy anyway. Different dates, different plan, but Marco still wants to do content there. He's hosting some kind of influencer retreat at his family's villa. Rachel's planning to go as his guest. They're going to spin it as a healing journey or something. Make you look even worse, the cruel ex who tried to stop her from healing. When? End of July, about 6 weeks from now. I thought about it. Thought about Rachel and Marco thinking they could just move forward, rewrite the narrative, become the victims who overcame adversity. How do I get invited to this retreat? Jenna blinked. What? Marco's retreat. It's a professional event, right? With speakers and content creators? Yes, but can you get me invited? Legitimately. As a speaker or attendee. Not crashing. Actually invited. Ethan, that's insane. They'll destroy you. Or I'll destroy them. On their turf, in front of witnesses, with everything documented. She stared at me for a long moment. You've changed, she said quietly. No, I just stopped pretending I was okay with being treated like garbage. I know someone who helps coordinate events like this. I can try. But Ethan, if you do this, you have to be careful. They're going to try to set you up, make you look violent or crazy, get footage they can use against you. Then I'll wear a body cam and record everything myself. That's legal? In Italy, yes, as long as it's visible. And I'll have Caroline file notice that I'm traveling for work so Rachel can't claim I'm violating any restraining order. Jenna shook her head slowly, a small smile forming. Okay, I'll make some calls. But you owe me drinks if you survive this. Deal. We talked for another 30 minutes. She forwarded more messages, more screenshots, more evidence of Rachel's planning and manipulation. When she left, Frank came over to my table. That was interesting, he said. She's going to help us. I know. I vetted her already. She's clean. She's just tired of Rachel's bullshit and wants out. Can we trust her? As much as we can trust anyone in this situation. Keep her at arm's length, document everything she gives you, and verify what you can independently. But yeah, I think she's legit. I called Caroline from the parking lot. Caroline listened to everything Jenna had told me, then was silent for a full 30 seconds. You want to go to Italy and confront them at Marco's retreat? Yes. That's either brilliant or suicidal. Probably both. Ethan, they're going to try to provoke you. Get you on camera losing your temper. Create footage they can edit to make you look abusive. That's the whole plan. I know. That's why I'll record everything myself. Body cam, visible, completely legal under Italian law. Whatever they film, I'll have the full context. She was quiet again. I could hear her typing. If we do this, and that's a big if, we need to do it right. First, I file notice with the court that you're traveling to Italy for legitimate business purposes. That prevents Rachel from claiming you're stalking or violating any potential restraining order. Second, you need to be invited legitimately, not just showing up. Jenna can help with that. Third, you wear the body cam at all times. Fourth, you bring witnesses, other attendees who can testify to what actually happened if things go wrong. Okay. Fifth, and this is the most important one, you stay calm no matter what. They're going to push you. They're going to say terrible things. They're going to try to make you snap. You have to be a stone. Can you do that? I thought about the last 3 months, the lies, the betrayal, the lawsuit, the smear campaign, everything I'd already survived. Yes. Then let's do it. But Ethan, I'm serious. If this goes wrong, it goes very wrong. You could end up arrested in a foreign country. You could end up with footage of yourself that destroys your case. You're taking a massive risk. I know, but they think they've won. They think they can rewrite history and I'll just disappear. I want to show them they're wrong. I want to finish this. Okay, give me 2 days to set up the legal framework. You work with Jenna on getting that invitation. Jenna came through faster than I expected. She called me the next evening. I talked to my contact. His name is David Chen. He does event coordination for international influencer retreats. Marco hired him to help organize this one. David owes me a favor, and he's willing to add you as a speaker if you have legitimate credentials. What kind of credentials? You work in cybersecurity, right? Digital safety is a huge topic for content creators. Data protection, privacy, avoiding hacks. David can pitch you as an expert speaker on that topic. Marco won't love it, but if David frames it as adding professional credibility to the event, he'll accept it because he needs this retreat to succeed. That works. There's a catch. You have to actually give the presentation. It has to be real. If you're just there to cause drama, David's reputation suffers, and I lose a valuable contact. I'll give a real presentation. I'll be professional. I'm not there to cause drama. I'm there to defend myself if they start it. Okay, I'll tell David yes. He'll send you the details. The invitation arrived 2 days later. Official email from David Chen. Events. Dear Mr. Cole, we're pleased to invite you to speak at the Villa de Luca Creative Retreat, July 28th, August 2nd. Your presentation on digital security for content creators will take place July 30th at 2 p.m. Accommodations and meals included. Please confirm your attendance. I confirmed immediately. Caroline filed the court notice. I booked flights. I ordered a body cam, small, discreet, clips to a shirt collar, records in 4K. Completely legal in Italy as long as it's visible. Frank couldn't come, wrong jurisdiction, no authority to operate there, but he spent 3 days training me. Self-defense basics. You're not trying to win fights. You're trying to not get hurt and get away. Counter-surveillance. Assume everything you say is being recorded. Assume every room has cameras. De-escalation tactics. People can't edit silence into aggression. Stay quiet, stay calm, let them hang themselves. Luis found out somehow. I suspected Jenna told him because they'd met once at a company party and stayed in touch. You're actually doing this, he said, sitting on the edge of my desk at work. I'm actually doing this. You know this could backfire spectacularly. It could. But you're going anyway. I am. He grinned. Man, I wish I could watch. This is either going to be the most satisfying thing ever or a complete disaster. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Hey, I'm rooting for you. I'm just realistic. He stood up. Listen, if it goes bad, call me. I'll figure out how to wire you bail money or whatever. I'm not getting arrested. That's what everyone says before they get arrested. The night before my flight, I sat in my apartment and packed. Clothes, laptop, body cam, chargers, Caroline's emergency contact information, a printed copy of all our legal filings in case Italian authorities needed to see them. My phone buzzed. Text from Rachel. I know you're coming to Italy. Stay away from me or I'll have you arrested. I screenshot it and sent it to Caroline. She replied immediately. Perfect. She just admitted she knows you have legitimate business there and is attempting to interfere. Save this. I didn't respond to Rachel. I finished packing, set my alarm, and tried to sleep. Tomorrow I'd fly to Rome, rent a car, drive to the villa on the Amalfi Coast, and I'd finish what she started 3 months ago when she told me she needed closure with her ex-boyfriend. She wanted closure? I'd give her closure. The Villa de Luca was everything Instagram promised and reality rarely delivered. White stone walls climbing up a cliff face, bougainvillea everywhere, purple and pink against white. Narrow roads winding up from the coast, barely wide enough for one car. Views of the Mediterranean that looked photoshopped but weren't. The kind of place that charged €800 a night and was worth every cent. I arrived at 4 p.m, jet-lagged and nervous. There were about 15 other guests, content creators mostly. Photographers, videographers, lifestyle influencers. People who made their living looking effortlessly beautiful in expensive places. Marco was at the entrance playing host. White linen shirt, expensive sunglasses, that carefully maintained stubble that probably required more maintenance than my entire grooming routine. He saw me and froze mid-greeting with another guest. Ethan. Marco. I didn't realize you'd accepted the invitation. I'm speaking on digital security. David Chen coordinated it. Marco's jaw tightened. Right. Of course. Well, welcome to Villa de Luca. He forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Let me show you to your room. The other guests were watching now, sensing tension. Whispers started. My room was on the ground floor, small, with a single bed and a tiny bathroom. The window overlooked the parking area instead of the water. Every other room I'd passed had ocean views. Subtle. Dinner's at 7 on the main terrace, Marco said stiffly. Casual dress. Thanks. He left without another word. I unpacked, checked the body cam, fully charged, recording properly, and clipped it to my shirt collar. Visible. Legal. Running. At 7, I went to dinner. The terrace was stunning. Long table under string lights, candles, flowers, the sunset over the Mediterranean painting everything gold and pink. Very romantic. Very Instagram. Rachel was already there. She was sitting near the head of the table, wearing a white dress that probably cost more than my flight, looking like she belonged in a luxury travel magazine. She saw me and went pale. I took a seat at the opposite end and smiled at the woman next to me. Hi, I'm Ethan, cybersecurity. Taylor, she said, shaking my hand. She had bright red hair and multiple tattoos. Fashion content? Are you the guy Rachel's been posting about? Probably. Interesting. She poured herself wine. This should be fun. Dinner was awkward. People kept glancing between me and Rachel, like they were watching a nature documentary waiting for someone to attack. I ate pasta, drank water, answered questions about network security and data protection. Across the table, Rachel was whispering furiously to Marco. He looked panicked. After dinner, Marco stood and made a toast. To new beginnings, to creativity, to honest work and authentic connections. He looked directly at me when he said, honest. I raised my water glass. To honesty and accountability. The table went very quiet. Rachel excused herself abruptly. Marco followed her inside. Taylor leaned over. Okay, you have to tell me what's actually going on. I gave her the summary. Engagement, affair, lawsuit, court order, Rachel's smear campaign. She listened, eyes getting wider. And you came here anyway? I was invited professionally. You're either incredibly brave or completely insane. Probably both. She laughed. I like you. You're going to make this week very interesting. That night, I heard them through the villa walls. Italian architecture is beautiful, but not soundproof. Rachel's voice, high and panicked. You said he wouldn't come. Marco. I didn't think he would. Who travels internationally to attend their ex's event? Well, he's here. What do? We stick to the plan. What plan? We get him on camera losing his temper. Push him until he snaps. Then we have proof he's unstable and we post it everywhere. It'll destroy his credibility and he'll have to drop the lawsuit. What if he doesn't snap? Everyone snaps eventually. We just have to find the right pressure point. I lay in bed listening and smiled in the dark. They had no idea I could hear them. And they had no idea I was recording everything. The next 2 days were tense but calm. I gave my presentation on digital security. It went well. People asked good questions. I made genuine connections with other attendees. Several people asked for my contact information for future consulting work. Rachel avoided me. Marco watched me constantly, looking for openings. On the third night, Marco approached me on the terrace after dinner. Can we talk? Sure. Privately. He led me to a smaller terrace on the edge of the property. It was dramatic. Stone wall about waist high, then a steep drop to rocks and water below. Sunset. Very cinematic. Rachel was already there, arms crossed, looking nervous. Oh. Here we go. I adjusted my shirt slightly, making sure the body cam had a clear view of both of them. Ethan, we need to clear the air, Marco started. Okay. Rachel stepped forward. You need to stop this, the lawsuit, the harassment, following me to Italy. It's over. Let it go. I'm not harassing you. I'm attending a professional retreat where I was invited as a speaker. You showed up at the same event knowing I'd be here. You're stalking me. I'm attending an event. There's a difference. Marco moved closer, physically trying to intimidate me. You're making everyone uncomfortable. I've been nothing but professional and polite. You sued Rachel for doing nothing wrong. I sued Rachel for infidelity and fraudulent misrepresentation. A judge agreed and ordered her to return the ring and pay reimbursement. That's not nothing wrong. That's fraud. You're bitter because she chose someone else. I'm factual, because she lied for months while taking my money. Rachel's voice rose, getting shrill. You ruined my life. You ruined your own life. I just documented it and held you accountable. Marco stepped between us, aggressive now. You need to leave, tonight. Or what? Or I'll make you leave. He put his hand on my chest, pushing slightly. I stepped back. Don't touch me. What are you going to do? Sue me too? He shoved harder. I stumbled back a step, catching myself on the stone wall. Rachel's phone was out, recording. There it is. They wanted me to fight back, on camera, so they could edit it and claim I was violent. I raised my hands, palms out. I'm not doing this. Marco shoved me again, harder. I fell, not over the wall. That would have been genuinely dangerous, but onto the stone ground, hard enough to hurt, not hard enough to injure seriously. Get up, Marco said, standing over me. I didn't. Footsteps, voices, other guests running onto the terrace. What's happening? Taylor's voice. Did he push him? Someone else. Marco panicked. He attacked me. That's not what I saw. Taylor again. I saw you shove him twice. Rachel lowered her phone, face going pale. I stood slowly, brushing dust off my clothes. My ribs hurt where I'd hit the ground, but nothing was broken. I'm fine, I said calmly. Just a misunderstanding. But it wasn't a misunderstanding, because I had every second recorded on my body cam. And now I had witnesses. I didn't tell anyone about the body cam that night. I went to my room, uploaded the footage to my laptop, encrypted it, and sent copies to Caroline and to a cloud storage account. The footage was perfect, crystal clear, Marco shoving me twice, Rachel recording, their dialogue about me needing to leave, my calm responses, my refusal to fight back. Everything. Caroline called me at midnight Italian time, which was mid-afternoon in Seattle. This is gold. This is exactly what we needed. They're going to try again. I know. Keep recording. Keep staying calm. Let them hang themselves. The next morning, Marco called a house meeting. We gathered in the main room. Everyone looked confused and uncomfortable. Marco looked furious. Someone has been secretly recording people without consent, he announced. That's illegal. It's an invasion of privacy. It's unacceptable. Whoever's doing it needs to admit it right now and delete everything. I raised my hand. That was me. Silence. I've been wearing a body cam since I arrived. It's visible. It's clipped to my collar right now. It's completely legal under Italian law as long as it's visible, and I'm recording my own interactions. I'm not secretly recording anyone. It's right there. I pointed to the small camera on my shirt. You can't just record people without permission. Actually, I can. Italian law allows recording in shared spaces, where there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. This villa is a semi-public event space. Everyone here signed a waiver saying they could be photographed and filmed for promotional purposes. My body cam falls under the same category. Marco's face went red. You're a creep. I'm careful. There's a difference. Taylor spoke up from the back. Wait, did you record what happened last night? Yes. Can we see it? I looked at Marco. Do you want people to see it? He hesitated, and that hesitation told everyone everything they needed to know. I pulled out my laptop, connected it to the TV in the main room, played the footage, the shoves, Rachel recording, their dialogue about making me look unstable, my calm responses, the witnesses arriving. The room erupted. You set him up? This is insane. You're running a scam? I can't believe this. Marco tried to defend himself. It's taken out of context. What context? Taylor demanded. We all saw him shove you twice while you stayed calm. There's no context where that's okay. Enzo, Marco's cousin, who actually owned the villa, stepped forward. He was older, maybe 50, with gray in his hair and the tired look of someone managing a family business. Marco, is this true? Did you invite this man here to set him up? Enzo, listen, it's complicated. Did you endanger a guest? Did you physically assault someone on my property? I barely touched him. You shoved him twice, on camera. What if he'd gone over that wall? What if he'd been seriously hurt? We'd be facing a lawsuit and you'd have destroyed this family's reputation. It wasn't supposed to. Get out. What? Get out of my villa. Pack your things, both of you. He looked at Rachel. You're complicit. You were recording. You were part of this. I don't know what happened between you and this man, and I don't care. But you brought drama to my family's home. You put my business at risk. Leave. Rachel started crying. Marco started shouting. I stayed silent. Enzo turned to me. Mr. Cole, I apologize. My cousin's behavior is inexcusable. You're welcome to stay for the remainder of the retreat if you wish. Thank you. The other guests were pulling out their phones now. Some were already posting about it. I could see the tweets forming. Wild drama at influencer retreat. Guy caught setting up his ex on camera. Content creator exposed for assault. Marco and Rachel's reputations were collapsing in real time. Justice, I thought, sometimes moves very fast. That afternoon, while Marco and Rachel packed, my phone buzzed. Email from Caroline with the subject line, "You need to see this." Attached, screenshots and PDFs. I opened them. Messages from Rachel's phone, forwarded by Jenna, who'd been collecting everything for weeks. Not just recent messages. Everything. The full timeline. Rachel and Marco discussing how to manage Ethan during the engagement. Rachel drafting her abuse story 2 weeks before posting it. Rachel and Marco planning the Italy provocation down to the smallest detail. And voice notes, dozens of them. Rachel's voice, recorded by Jenna during what Rachel thought was a private girls' night. Ethan's so stupid. He actually thinks I love him. I'm marrying him because he's stable and pays for everything. Marco's fun, but he's broke. I'll have both. Best of both worlds. And if Ethan ever finds out, I'll just say he abused me. Cry a little, post some sad photos. No one ever believes the man. It's perfect. Marco's voice, recorded by another guest at the villa who'd overheard him on a phone call and forwarded it to Jenna. This retreat is tanking. I need the drama with Rachel and her ex to blow up so we get attention. Any attention is good attention. If we make Ethan look crazy, it's a story. Stories sell. We can both use this to rebuild our brands. It's brilliant. They'd planned everything. The affair, the lies, the smear campaign, the Italy setup, the fake abuse narrative. All of it calculated, all of it deliberate, all of it documented. Caroline's email continued. Jenna's willing to testify. The other guest who recorded Marco is willing to testify. We can file an amended complaint. Add defamation, conspiracy, intentional infliction of emotional distress with evidence of premeditation. This is no longer just about recovering money. This is about destroying their credibility so completely they can never do this to anyone else. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone. I'd won the lawsuit. I'd exposed them at the villa. I'd cleared my name with witnesses and evidence. I could stop here, walk away, go home, move on with my life, or I could finish it completely. I typed back, "What do we do?" Caroline, "We go nuclear, tonight, at dinner, in front of everyone. We show them everything. Burn it all down." Me, "Let's do it." That evening, Enzo asked me to stay for a final dinner before Marco and Rachel left in the morning. "I owe you an apology," he said. "My cousin brought shame to our family. I want to make it right." "You don't owe me anything." "I do, and I have an idea." What if we address everything openly, clear the air completely before anyone leaves? Transparency. I'm okay with that. Good. I'll arrange it. After dinner, when everyone was gathered on the terrace with wine and dessert, Enzo stood. Before people leave tomorrow, I want to address what happened. Transparency is important. Trust is important. Ethan, would you like to say anything? I stood. Every guest had their phone out. Some were streaming live to their followers. I could see the viewer counts climbing, 200, 500, 1,000 people watching. Perfect. I pulled out my laptop and connected it to the projector Enzo had set up. I came here to speak about cybersecurity and digital safety. Instead, I became part of a setup designed to destroy my reputation and force me to drop a legitimate lawsuit. But I'm not angry, I'm grateful, because now I get to show everyone the truth. I played the body cam footage first, the shoves, the setup, the witnesses. Then I played the voice notes. Rachel admitting she never loved me, that I was just a safety net. Marco admitting he needed the drama for attention. Then I showed the messages, the timeline, the script for her fake abuse story that she'd written weeks before posting it. Every lie, every manipulation, every calculated betrayal. The terrace was silent except for the sound of the sea and my voice narrating the evidence. Rachel claimed I was abusive. Here's a document she wrote 2 weeks before making that claim, scripting exactly what she'd say. She never mentioned abuse until she needed an excuse for getting caught in an affair. Marco claimed I was stalking. Here's evidence I was invited here professionally, confirmed by David Chen, and that Marco specifically tried to provoke me into violence so he could record it and use it for content. They both claimed I was obsessed and couldn't move on. Here's evidence they planned this entire scenario specifically to generate drama they could monetize. I closed the laptop. I'm not showing you this to humiliate them. I'm showing you this because they weaponized abuse allegations. They cheapened real victims' experiences by faking abuse for personal gain. That's not just wrong, it's dangerous. It makes it harder for actual victims to be believed. Rachel stood up, shaking. You had no right to. I had every right. You lied about me publicly. You tried to destroy my reputation. You weaponized serious accusations. This is me defending myself with facts. You're twisting everything. I'm showing your own words, your own voice, your own messages. There's no twisting necessary. She lunged at me, trying to grab the laptop. I stepped back smoothly, having learned from Marco's previous attacks. She tripped over a chair leg, completely her own momentum, no contact from me, and fell into the decorative fountain at the edge of the terrace. Splash. The crowd gasped. Multiple phones captured it. She came up soaking wet, mascara running, dress clinging, screaming. You're all going to regret this. Every single one of you. I'll sue everyone. I'll destroy all of you. Marco tried to help her up. She shoved him away. This is your fault. You said this would work. You said Ethan was too weak to fight back. You said we'd get content and money and everything would be fine. You said you'd handle him. You said he'd back down if we pushed hard enough. Well, I was wrong. He's not weak, and now we're ruined and it's all because of you. They turned on each other in front of everyone, yelling, blaming, revealing more than they realized. I stood quietly and watched. Taylor approached, trying not to laugh. That was the most satisfying thing I've ever witnessed. Thank you. Can I interview you for my channel? This is incredible content. No, I'm done. I just want to go home. Fair enough. Enzo stepped forward, addressing the crowd. Marco is banned from using the DeLuca name for any business ventures. Rachel is no longer welcome at any property associated with my family. I apologize to everyone for this disruption. He turned to me. Mr. Cole, thank you for handling this with dignity. You're welcome here anytime. I appreciate that. Security, 2 local guys Enzo had called, escorted Marco and Rachel back to their rooms to pack. Several guests followed, recording, posting, streaming. By the time I went to bed, one villa drama was trending on Twitter. Marco had lost 40% of his followers. Rachel had lost 60% of hers. Comments on their posts were brutal. Fake abuse claims are disgusting. Using real victims' pain for content is vile. They both deserve what they got. Respect to Ethan for staying calm through all that. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired, but I also felt finished. I flew home 3 days later, after giving my actual security presentation to the remaining guests and having surprisingly pleasant conversations about data protection and online safety. Caroline met me at a coffee shop near my apartment the day after I returned. Rachel signed the settlement, she said, sliding papers across the table. Full agreement, no appeals, no public statements, no contact. She admits fault on the record. She returns the ring, which she already did. It's in my office. She pays the $34,000 in reimbursement over 12 months. First payment due immediately. If she violates any term, the full amount becomes due immediately plus penalties. What about Marco? Marco's being sued by 3 different people for breach of contract and fraud related to his business deals. His brand is dead. He'll be working a regular job within 6 months, assuming he doesn't face criminal charges for something. Criminal charges? Turns out he's been running some questionable financial schemes with his content business. Someone tipped off Italian authorities. Probably Enzo, protecting the family name. Either way, Marco's done. And Rachel? Lost all her sponsors. Instagram following dropped 70%. She moved back in with her mother. She got a job at a marketing agency, not a senior role, entry level. She'll recover eventually, but not as an influencer. I absorbed this. It's over? I asked. It's over. You won completely. I should have felt happy, vindicated, triumphant. Instead, I just felt empty. Why don't I feel better? Caroline leaned back. Because revenge doesn't heal anything. It just closes the wound so it can start healing properly. You didn't do this for revenge. You did it for accountability. There's a difference. Is there? Yes. Revenge is about hurting them. Accountability is about protecting yourself and preventing them from doing it to others. You did the second thing. You should be proud. I don't feel proud. You will. Give it time. She stood up. Go home, Ethan. Rest. Live your life. You're free now. She left. I sat in the coffee shop for another hour, watching people come and go, living their normal lives. My phone buzzed. Text from Luis. Drinks tonight? Heard you survived Italy. Me. Yeah, I'll come. That night at the bar, Luis raised his glass. To Ethan Cole, the man who went to war with his crazy ex and won. I didn't go to war. I just defended myself. Same thing. How does it feel? Weird, empty, like I won but lost something anyway. You lost illusions. That's not a bad thing. He took a drink. What now? I don't know. Live my life, I guess. Figure out who I am when I'm not defined by her. That's healthy. Very therapy speak. I might actually start therapy. Good idea. You've earned it. He grinned. For what it's worth, you're different now. Better. You stand up straight. You don't apologize for existing. Whatever she took from you, you got it back. Maybe he was right. I went home that night to my apartment, my space, my rules, my peace, and looked around. It was quiet, empty, mine. I opened my laptop and deleted every photo of Rachel, every message, every trace. It felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. I opened my calendar. August, a new month, new possibilities, no wedding to plan, no lawsuit to manage, no revenge to plot, just life, simple, boring, mine. I thought about Rachel's voice on that recording. Ethan's so stupid. He'll never know. But I did know. And I'd made sure everyone else knew too. She'd wanted to use me as a safety net while living her exciting life with someone else. Instead, she lost everything. The ring, the money, her reputation, her career, her credibility. And I'd gained something too. Not happiness, not yet. But something better. Self-respect. The knowledge that I could stand up for myself. that I could fight back when fighting back was necessary, that I wasn't the boring, weak, pathetic person she'd thought I was. I was just someone who'd finally stopped accepting less than I deserved. My phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. Text. This is Jenna. I know we haven't talked since Italy, but I wanted to say thank you. Rachel was toxic to everyone around her, not just you. What you did freed a lot of people from her manipulation. We all owe you. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back, You don't owe me anything, but thanks for the help. Couldn't have done it without you. Jenna. Drink sometime? As friends. I promise I'm not secretly recording you. I smiled. Me. Sure, friends sounds good. I put my phone down and looked out the window at the Seattle skyline. My fiancée once told me she needed 2 weeks in Italy with her ex-boyfriend to make sure she wasn't making a mistake marrying me. She was right about one thing. She was making a mistake. But it wasn't about me. It was about her choices, her lies, her belief that she could have everything without consequences. She thought I was too boring to fight back. She was wrong. And now everyone knew it. I didn't destroy her because I was cruel. I destroyed her because I refused to be destroyed. And that was enough. I closed my laptop, turned off the lights, and went to bed. Tomorrow I'd wake up and make coffee. I'd go to work. I'd live my quiet, predictable life. But it would be my life. On my terms. And I'd never apologize for that again.